My name is Antoine.
I'm Vivian.
And I'm Chris.
There have been assumptions that Iran is potentially developing a nuclear program with the intentions of building nuclear weapons. This is the current situation. The key players of this dilemma are the US, Iran, China, Russia, Israel, the United Nations, and the IAEA, the UN's nuclear watchdog. It is important to consider also India, because it has economical ties with Iran.
As we study the current situation and we analyze the steps that need to be taken, it is important that we look at the history, the last 3 decades or so that have led up to the current situation. It is important to note that this is an overly simplified general view. And thus we will focus on the Islamic Revolution of 1979, where the Muslim Islam hardcore supporters overthrew the Shah of Iran and established a theocracy, democracy of the religious elite, since the Shah of Iran had strong ties with the United States and wanted to incorporate Western values into the Iranian society. US-Iranian relationships soared as a result of this. However, it is important to that as we analyze this situation, we take into consideration a liberalist view in which US and Iran, because they're both democracies, are less likely to fight and will achieve peace through cooperation. After September 11, the beginning of war on terror, which also soured Iranian relationships with the United States. As Bush condemned in 2002 Iran as part of the axis of evil, Mr. Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, responded negatively to these statements.
So not only have bad relations between the US and Iran serve as an obstacle to international consensus, but also views within the Security Council of Russia and China. Russia is reluctant to accept the economic sanctions which the UN wants to impose on Iran because of their strong economic ties, and they don't believe that there has been a strong, significant threat to their security, and thus they don't want to sacrifice their economic interests. Also, Russia believes that Iran is one of the most important nations within the Gulf region, and thus that it is in their national interest to not jeopardize good relations. Also, despite Russia's high financial gains, they do believe that Iran should abide to the IAEA guidelines. Similar views can be seen with China, who also has good economic relations with Iran, and thus that is an obstacle to international consensus. But also, China does have good relations with the US, as the US holds the key to domestic stability, the reclaiming of Taiwan, and economic growth. Therefore, the overall main factor standing in the way of international consensus is Russia's and slightly China's discomfort with the aggressive sanctions desired by the UN.
Now for the United States. The US is in favor of sanctions. It is keen on more aggressive and stricter sanctions in Iran. The US is the driving force behind international community's actions, and it has a national interest to protect Israel and themselves, assuming that a nuclear-armed Iran is a bad thing.
The international community has also taken some steps. On July 31st, 2006, the Security Council, which is the only UN body capable of enforcing the international law, passed resolution number 1696, which demanded that Iran stop all enrichment-related and reprocessing activities. Enrichment activities are the processes in which uranium is enriched to the point where it can be used in a nuclear weapon. The IAEA has been given access to report on Iran's nuclear program. The conclusion on this is that while they may be developing nuclear weapons, there is no evidence to suggest such a thing. As a result, the next step should be that there is a slight increase in the severity of the sanctions imposed on Iran. The slight increase would be one which Security Council members Russia and China would agree to. A warning should be delivered to Iran showing that any case of them developing nuclear weapons would be met with strict consequences, and the continuation of the IAEA's monthly monitoring of Iran's nuclear program is imperative to this situation. Furthermore, no immediate military intervention at this early stage should be taken, as a military conflict would be detrimental to both countries' economies due to their interdependency through trade. And Mr. Ahmadinejad has suggested the next American president should mend relations with Iran. We finally state that we cannot give in to Iran's demands, as that would set a precedent for other nations with nuclear programs to make similar requests.